I'm Tom. I'm the founder and CEO of Alba Orbital Limited, or now we're Alba Orbital Inc. Actually. So we, in the last year, we've changed our corporate structure. So yeah, thank you for coming along to the event today. This is our fifth one that we've done now. So this is the second virtual one, unfortunately, due to COVID. And yeah, thank you for everyone for participating with our speaker or whether they're following along online. Really appreciate that. And yeah, really keen for everyone to learn a little more about PodCubes and yeah, to get their missions flying and doing cool stuff, because that's really what PodCubes enable. So we're really just going to start with a little bit of an update on what we've done or where we're about. So obviously Alba's got a reputation for flying PodCubes and doing things in PodCubes, and we've got a really busy year ahead. So some of this sort of been announced, some of it's to be announced. But starting with the 6 satellites that we launched in 2019, they've now re-entered. That was Cluster 2 launch. We launched them on the Rocket Lab Electron. We now have Cluster X launching on Rocket Lab Electron. So that's currently Q4. So as you're aware, we're in Q4 2021. So that hardware is shipping out in the next couple of weeks to New Zealand. So I'm sure there'll be an announcement pretty soon from Rocket Lab on that. So just keep your eyes peeled on that. But we will be launching pretty soon, and that's we've got Unicorn on that launch, got an Alba Pods, and we have some customer 1Ps on that mission. Cluster 3 and 4. So we sort of merged them together. And that's really the big one. So I think we're currently at 15 PodCubes on that one. This big SpaceX Transport 3 mission, which is now slipped into Q1. And I think, yeah, probably like half the people here are flying with us on that. So yeah, obviously, thanks for everyone who signed up for that. We're looking forward to a big SpaceX rideshare PodCube launch, which I think for the community is really important. We really want to get on these vehicles and get flying regularly. And I think the good news now is that these sort of organizations are working with folks like us, and we have good reputation with them, and they're keen to work. There's also a Cluster 5 launch, which we haven't really talked about publicly yet. So we're flying 9 satellites, and that's to be announced, but that's all sold out. There's Clusters 6 and 7, which are later on 2022. So we have some slots available. We sold a bunch actually on those launches. So if you're not manifested for next year and you're looking for a ride, then hit us up on contact Alba Orbital, help me or Caius, and I'm sure we can get you something started. Our pricing never changes. It's always the same. It has been for like 3 or 4 years. And that's really important just for consistency, so people can plan. And we obviously fly, the only flight proven, pods, operational pod, which is the Pod V2. So here's 3 of them that we've integrated before for Cluster 3. We'll end up flying, I think, 5 pods on the 3-4 mission, the SpaceX rideshare. So that's going to be really cool, and that'll be the biggest deployment in PodCube history. As of just now, obviously, hopefully in the future we'll go bigger. But yeah, really looking forward to flying lots of folks on that. Many of who have spoken today, and many of who are talked in the past and are following along online. So yeah. So you may have seen we've made an announcement recently on our environmental test house. So this is actually like an Alba Orbital flight table. So we just received it about a week ago. So we're just going through the commissioning phase just now. As everybody is probably aware, to fly your PodCube in space, you need to go through some mandatory tests. One's a vibration test, set of tests, and one of them is bake out. So we'll both have both vacuum bake out and 5 facilities operational in the next few weeks. So if folks are looking for that service and they can't find a local test house, then Alba can hopefully help folks on that front. So this is Alba Connect. So we've got some cool drone footage. I think people are aware of what we've been up to with Alba Connect. It's our ground station network. And really, with that, we're trying to make it easier for folks to fly. Some people are using our network, so we're sort of helping them with licensing and uh, sort of operations of their satellite. So it's something we kind of do. It's not a big focus for us, to be honest. It's kind of there for our unicorns. But certainly, if people are struggling in different areas, then we have facilities, and we also sell these units to folks. So if they want their own rapidly deployable ground station, fully enclosed, so on power its own data, then obviously like heads up. But yeah, I do love the drone footage of this one. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah, if you want to know more about that, then just let us know. The first one is going out to Berlin. Then we're currently building the second and third one just now. So we just take a facility to build these things quite close to the vibration place that we have. So yeah. Fundraising. So you may have seen in the news that we raised quite a bit of capital and 3.4 million US dollars. So that was super cool. Really keen to kind of put PodCubes on the map. And that's kind of what we've been doing, trying to do it for the last 8, 9 years. And it's just great to see that the investment community is seeing the opportunity. I think really since we launched Cluster 2, I was trying to calculate it by adding up the different companies, but I think there's been in excess of $5 million raised in the community on the back of essentially a Cluster 2 launch. So yeah, I think it's really bodes well that people are getting, excited and people need obviously reliable launch service like Alba Launch to close the loop on the kind of credibility, reliability, and then obviously, presenting that to their funders, whoever that may be, whether it's like sponsors or investors or customers or whoever sort of prime income source from. So we work with Y Combinator. So for those not familiar with Y Combinator, they're the sort of, most highly respected accelerator program probably in the world just now. They sort of created, or they had their early investors in Airbnb and Dropbox and Coinbase and a whole list of sort of super successful Silicon Valley companies. So it's really awesome that they were also our first investor. So that was cool. We also had the investor, the founder of Skype, who now runs a fund called Metaplanet. That he invested in the company rather. We have like a lot of other ones. CEO of Fitbit is quite a famous one. But we have about 40 investors all in. I think it's kind of cool to demonstrate that there's kind of a path, and there's kind of, if you can kind of present kind of business opportunity in the right way using PodCubes, like there is kind of, a lot of opportunity. And I think for us, obviously, like I think, obviously it started off as hobbyists and there are a lot of startups, like certainly developing data business cases is really obviously the way it's going. And it really, I think investors care about, like data sets fundamentally. So really PodCubes are the way that you could create data sets, whether that's IoT or remote sensing or whatever the application may be, if it's like an RF sort of remote sensing thing or optical or SAR or whatever. So, I think that's kind of obviously quite exciting. And in the wider sort of space sector, like investments really starting to flow a lot more than it was maybe 5-6 years ago, which is kind of cool. So yes, like what we're going to do with the money. Well, first and foremost, like as like a good bit of money, but it's not really enough to really build a huge constellation yet. So we're taking baby steps. No, earlier was talking about nightlights, and that's sort of our near-term market. So we have a number of customers already signed up for that, which we haven't announced, but we will at some point when we, get all the ducks in a row on that front, announce our customers. We have an early access program. We actually run another workshop for the Nightlights community as well now, which is quite successful. Really, our goal is to create a really high revisit constellation for Earth observation and really create real-time Earth. That's really the holy grail, I think, of EO, in my opinion. And obviously, there's those companies that have tried to do that and have made significant progress. And I really think that the PodCube form factor will help, make this sort of dream a reality. And we're going to take a good stab at it. So yeah, it requires a lot of mass manufacturing, a lot of advancements in pop cubes, and really a lot of launches and ground infrastructure. So we're starting off with the nightlights, which is I think we've currently manifested about 13 nightlights unicorns, something like that, 13, 14. And we're hoping that'll be operational by sort of mid next year. And then once we do that, then we're going to sort of really try and ramp things up to get the numbers of satellites in orbit much, much higher. So it's all very exciting, and it's really great to have so many sort of people on the bus for that in terms of investors and sort of early customers and things like that. So yeah, so basically, like the use cases for that are, I think wildfire detection is a really interesting use case. It's very hard to do just now with EO. You really need a lot of satellites to make wildfires work, because wildfires are big and they move quickly. So you really need pretty persistent coverage, which kind of suits pod cubes because they're small. You can do lots of them and you can mass produce them. So I think that's a really exciting use case. There's a long, long list, but basically things that are big and move quickly are really like our niche. There's a lot of VO companies that do very high res stuff, and I really just don't see a technical way that pod cubes can do high res really ever because of our aperture limits. But certainly, I think the way we fit into the food chain there is really about being first on site and early detection, and then it's called tipping and queuing in the EO world, where you have a tip and a queue, and you queue up the bigger satellites to look at the area of interest. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with our Unicorn 2. So we've now been developing that for nearly 5 years. We're actually starting off with Unicorn 3 developments just now, so we haven't really made any announcements on that front, but that's something that's coming down the track kind of quickly. And U2 is the most advanced PodCube, I think, by most metrics in the world just now. PodCube bus platform. We have the highest resolution. We have the most amount of power. We have most developed ADCS and high throughput radios. Unicorn 2 has been a real nightmare to make. It's really hard. It's really hard to make a good PodCube, it turns out. It's there's certainly a lot of advantages to PodCubes, and I love PodCubes to bits, but certainly like that's been a sort of labor of love getting U2 into existence, and then growing the organization around that. So so we've flown two of them, and we got some. One of them was operational, so that was good. And we're launching a bunch more. I think we've probably got like 3 or 4 going up in the next sort of 3 or 4 months, and then there'll hopefully be a bunch more sort of middle next year. Because now we're really into the production side of things, which is this is sort of how we do it. We have trays of satellite components, and essentially we're trying to get to kits and internal kits, if you know what I mean. But there's a lot of parts to Unicorn. It's a really complicated satellite, and certainly it's the opposite of keep it simple. Keep it simple is a great approach and something I would really recommend when you're starting out. It's like really easy to get a bit carried away with specs. It's like better to have like a kind of like satellite with worse specs that's reliable probably than a kind of fancy satellite with that doesn't work properly. But to really advance PodCubes, we're going to have to build reliable, complicated satellites at some point, because we need the data rates, we need the pointing, we need the good payloads. These are all things that matter if we're to build business cases. So yeah, as hard as it is, like we're gonna have to figure that out. And Alba's been sort of chipping away at that goal for some time now. And really, manufacturing PodCubes at scale is really something that we're working on now. We're trying super hard to get our production rate up, and I think we've made a lot of progress in recent years on that front. We have, I think, 17 unicorns in production just now in the clean room. So we're just trying to get that kind of up and running and really slick. It's just like a lot of things to do production. And yeah, obviously, like I mentioned before, we have our ground stations which are fully portable. This is what the full system looks like. This is the last sort of the 2.1. We're now on the 2.2, which we haven't put out publicly, but it's got a bunch of upgrades on the 2.2, the 2.1 rather. And once we flew is 2.0. So we'll probably do one more 2.3, and then we'll move on to the 3.0. which will be very architecturally different. When we go between, like I say, a 2.1 unicorn and a 2.2, like it basically means that we're going to add stuff or take stuff out, or sort of do minor mods. Relatively minor, as in we're not like knocking everything down. We maybe change 10% of the spacecraft, or most 20% of the spacecraft by parts. We go from generation to generation, from unicorn 1 to unicorn 2, unicorn 2 to unicorn 3. We're talking about really having a blank sheet of paper if we want, and really, you can create quite a lot of tech debt when you're iterating a platform. And sometimes you go like, geez, why didn't we, what were we doing back at the start? We totally forgot about all these important things that we now know are important. And some things you can add in between minor iterations, and sometimes you can't. So that's our kind of way of thinking about things. And yeah, that's how we're getting on. I'm trying to image everyone on Earth every 15 minutes. Yeah, if people have questions, then feel free to put them in.